Rotoscoping in Fusion in Davinci Resolve 15. I have here a footage and I'd like to isolate this door in the foreground using a mask to do something more about it. For example, to desaturate it. Now, how do we do that? I come here to Tools, and down here I have Mask, and I have a list of my nodes that I can use for masking. Now, because this is not a basic shape, and I need to exclude this window, of course, I'm going to go with a polygon, okay? You can either, of course, you select here on Media In, you can either come here and click on polygon, or you already have a shortcut here, or you press Control and Space and you type in polygon, okay? Whichever one works for you. You have 3 ways of doing it. Let's come here for a change and click on polygon. Now, once you do that, it comes here on top, connected to the blue line, and it disappears. The footage completely disappears, and you think, well, hold on a moment, I was supposed just to isolate the door, and I haven't even started rotoscoping, and the whole footage is gone. Well, you have actually masked everything out. But don't worry, you just need to make sure that this polygon is selected, and you come to the properties, which are in the inspector here, and you invert it. All right? You invert it. Now, could you have drawn your shape without even inverting? Absolutely, but I think it would be more practical and makes better sense to see what you're drawing, okay? If I come here and I just come and draw something, I'll be able to see through it. But what's the point of drawing if you can't see what you're drawing, okay? Let me just undo this, and we're going to do it the proper way by inverting, and then we're going to draw. So let's go in a sloppy way, very, very loose on this, because I need to demonstrate more techniques. If I do it right the first time, I won't be able to show you some techniques. Right. This is done really badly and on purpose, very rough and completely not accurate. What just happened? Actually, it's the opposite of what I want. Well, this is because I have inverted it. But if I click on this, I'm able to see the door. Wait, this is not accurate work. Let's come back here and do some precise work on this. I need to bring this here and just leave it as is for now. I know this part is not covered. Let me just zoom a bit further. This part, I know this part is not covered, but we'll fix that in a moment. I know I need a one more point because this is not going to work like this. So I need another point. How do I do that? I come here to this arrow with the plus and I click on it and I just add another point and I bring it a little like this, okay? Some of the edges, and I said I would come back to this one, some of the edges are not just sharp. So if you look at this is not a sharp edge. It needs to be smooth. Well, how do we do that? I'll just come here to this that says smooth and I click on it. And that smooths my edge here, okay? And I can just make sure that okay, cool. Now, this is no matter of tweaking. I'm not going to take much of your time just in the tweaking, but this is how you do it, all right? Let me just get most of it, and I'm saying most of it because I need to keep it a little bit inaccurate to show you another technique, okay? Especially for this part over here, and then make sure this one is covered as well. All right, and I'm going to need another point here to cover this. Okay, now I've got some more. I think this one needs another point. Just a little bit here. All right, I don't want to include this part. This is the rear of the door, and this is definitely not, I'm not interested in that one. Cool, let's fit and see what we have. Right, this is kind of covered, but now I need to see if I have taken more than what I wanted. So let's invert and come back here. If you think these lines are standing in the way, and you don't want to see them because you want to see the edge, how good is the edge, you come here to the top and remove show controls. And you can't see them anymore. Well, and you cannot move them or change them anymore, but this is just to see, right? I think I'm kind of okay with this, although I think this edge is a little bit too sharp. But let's say I want to make it less sharp, then click on this, and you know that how to do that. I'm just going to bring it like this. This is a bit of a pain with this one, but I don't want it to be that sharp. Okay, this is okay-ish. I'm going to add another point here just to bring it back. This works for me. Definitely works for me. Okay, I'm trying to be a bit accurate here, but I don't think there is any point in taking more of your time. I'm just going to add one more here just to create a gap here because this door is completely damaged. Now we have selected the outer shape. The outer shape is being selected. Let's now take care of the inner one, which is the window. Now, of course, I don't want to touch this part here, and I'd like to isolate it. How do we do that? We're going to click on this and create another mask within the mask. So by having polygon selected, I click on polygon and get a second one. And you are now used to everything disappearing. Okay, so you know what to do. You just come here and click on invert. Well, that doesn't seem to help either because I need to see what I'm doing. Well, the polygon number 1 has done its work. For now, we can just invert it back. Okay, so and then we will re-invert it again once we have finished. But now we need to work specifically on polygon number 2. Okay, this one is inverted now. Let's come closer to this window and isolate it. Now we're going to have quite a few points here, and they're not going to be sharp. A few of them need to be smoothed. It's not very clear actually. Is this a black thing or is this the rear of the... No, I think this is the car. This is the car. Okay. Yeah, I think one hair would be enough. Good. I need to be a bit inaccurate. So we know what we need to do now. This needs to be smoothed. So let me just click on it and I come here and click on smooth. This covers beautifully our edge here. I'm going to need to smooth this one as well, but the smoothing is a bit too... It's not exactly what I'm looking for. So I'm just going to change using the handles. But that didn't help, did it? Now, if you have too many points in there, simple, select and delete it. Okay, I'm going to delete this one as well because I think that this should work fine with only one. As soon as we make this like this, it is going to work. Okay, this works for me. All right, so I've covered most of the thing. I think this one needs to be smoothed quickly. And that's it. This is kind of it. Okay, this is kind of it. All right, so, well, I'm going to need to have this mask applied properly, meaning I want to have the door selected and be able just to see the door. Nothing else. I don't want to see anything else than the door, but just the door, no window. Let me just fit this and see how we can do that. Well, how can we make this work? I'm going to come back here. I'm going to come to polygon number 2. So I'm going to come to the second mask, the one that I want to remove. And if you notice in each one of those, polygon 1 and 2, by default you have a paint mode. And by default you have it at merge. This property is at merge. Now I don't want merge because I need this window subtracted from the mask, which means I click on this and I go to subtract. Okay, now you know what's going on. It's just a few clicks on those invert things. You just invert like this, and here is your door, isolated, rotoscoped, ready for you to do whatever you want in terms of tweaking. What I'm going to do is quite simple. I'm going to now just close this, create a second window, second viewer, and I want to have my media in here, and I want to have the media out here because I'm going to add something else. Well, I'm going to work now on the door, right? That's the point, to work on the door alone, which means I want to duplicate here my media in because I need to have the door as a foreground on top of the initial footage that was brought in. What I'll do is just Control C or Command C for copying, and I keep media in selected and Control V, and what happens is Fusion knows what I'm trying to do. It is going to add, not only paste it, but think, hold on a moment, this guy is trying to merge his foreground with his background. Shall we do it for him? It created automatically a merge node for me. That's nice. Thank you. Okay, now I'm going to come and see. Probably the merge node is not necessarily in the right order, but I'll show you how to take care of that. I want to desaturate the door. Okay, so I come here, Control Space, and go to Color Corrector and click on Add. Of course, with my media in with the door selected. I click on that and I get my color corrector and I go straight to my desaturation. Sorry, saturation, and I desaturate that. Now, what happened? It seems pretty much that if I look at this, the door has been saturated, desaturated. But when I look at the media out, nothing has happened. Well, that's simple because although Fusion is quite smart into thinking you need to have these two footage together, I'm going to merge it for you, but it doesn't know exactly what's the order. I only know that. So what it does is it puts something in the foreground and something in the background, and it lets me to take care of the choice, which one goes in the foreground and background later on. So all I need, actually what happened is that the background is in the foreground. That's why it's hiding the door that's desaturated. Don't worry. You don't need to disconnect these and then start worrying about stuff. Just right click on the merge and go up to, there's going to be swap inputs, and click on swap inputs. As soon as you do that, the foreground has become the foreground and the background has become the background. Okay, what I mean, I wanted it, but initially the foreground has been swapped with the background. That's what happened. Now, if I zoom closer, indeed, I only have my door desaturated. This has been properly subtracted, and this is how you can isolate a certain item within a frame and target it with whatever you want. Now you have the the freedom to do what you want because you've already isolated the door. Now, before closing this part, I'd like to show you a few more parameters because it's just not a matter of drawing it and moving on. Maybe you need a little bit more control. Let me give you more control. Let's come here. Okay, and especially when we're talking about the window. Let's come here to the window. Okay, I am going to select polygon and I want to show you a few things, including, okay, you know what? Let's look at it this way. I drag polygon here to look at the alpha. And let me remove the controls. I can soft the edges, which basically means create a feather around my rotoscoping. That's for the window mask. But you can also do it. Let me reset. Now you know how to reset. Just double click on soft edge or this dot over here that shows up. And then you could do the same thing for polygon number 1. And you go soft edge and you're going to create an edge around it. Now, of course, this is exaggerated. All I'm doing is showing you that you can actually do a tiny little bit. Let's go with something like 0.2. Sorry, I got my numbers disabled. Oh, that's a lot. That is definitely a lot. 0.01. That's a lot as well. 0.002. How about that? Okay, kind of fine. This is kind of fun. I come here. Now we know it shouldn't be that wild. It should be 0.002. And that's kind of okay. Okay, you now can look at this media out with the saturated. Right, so we have indeed, again, let me just look at the merge. There's an invert that's going on. There's some invert issue going on here. Right, this is it. Now, because I had to update the window for the media out, let me just close this one, basically just focusing on one of them. And I'm going to remove the controls, show controls. Now, if you have any issue, you've got your polygons and you can't see your controls, like you can't see the line and the dots, you just come here and make sure that it's not disabled. So I'm going to disable it now because I don't want to see it anymore. I've worked on that, but my what do you call that? My soft edge is a bit too much. So let me go back quickly to the door and fix this issue. I'm gonna go with something like, actually just go back and fix the whole point because the point I think is in the wrong place. See, this point is not doing good at all. Absolutely not. Actually, do I have too many points here? I guess I've got too many points, but you know what? We're not gonna make a big deal out of that. Let's just do it like this, okay? And let them work together, these points. And remove the control and probably something like 3. I'll re-show the controls. It's just a matter of tweaking. Okay? And remove the controls. Well, I need to good. Come back to this one and invert. I have a few issues with this one. Sometimes the view doesn't update properly. Right. Let me just reset this. Here, fit. Cool. Now it's been a bit of tweaking with the inverts, like we've got 2 of them, and inverting a few times has taken us to the wrong desaturation, but now this is how we want to do it. Okay, and this is how you target a certain object using rotoscoping.